Celtics probably win
You guys see the
Yeltsin.
prices for the Super Bowl?
We'll get
though?
to Tom. We'll get to Tom. That'll be
We'll
a
get
late show.
We'll get to Tom. So this was a game that Bobby Manning was very concerned about.
It was going to be a great game. I'm very excited.
I did pick the Celtics, but I thought it was going to be closer. So here we go again. Nothing makes this team destroy the next 2 games in a row. Looks like they're world beaters, end of the playoffs, like 4 or 5 seed, and then they come out here and lose by 40. That's the NBA this year.
Yeah.
It is the NBA. Honestly, I'm not betting on the NBA right now. I refuse to because I cannot figure out who's going to show up on which game. Literally, which players are going to show up because of COVID.
I put a stop on it. I said, until we figure out what's going on, no more betting on basketball.
I can't do it. I mean, I expected the Celtics to win tonight, but obviously didn't expect it to be as lopsided as it was, especially after how the Nets showed up against Brooklyn. I don't even know where to start with this game. We can talk about Jaylen Brown until we're blue in the face, but I feel like everyone who's been watching this show over the last couple of weeks, how much can we say about Jaylen Brown? For me, it's still Kemba Walker is the story because he continues to impress me. Just with the health, he looks fast, he looks quick, he looks sharp, he's jumping around, he's pulling up for threes, he's yelling at referees, he's calling for fouls. He looks like the old Kemba Walker. So I'm like 85% near apology cam status. I'm very close.
All right. There we go. We're going to get one out of one of you soon. You know who I'm going to go with? You guys won't believe this.
Oh, I'm going to go with Tristan Thompson.
No.
You were going to go with Tristan.
No, he called him TT Joe.
You were going to go with Tristan Thompson because he had about a 4-minute stretch where he looked pretty good in the first quarter, and then he just looked like Tristan Thompson for the rest of the game.
He said a good
I'm going to go with Marcus
tone.
Smart.
Fair. Why not?
How about that? And let me tell you why.
Wow.
Let me tell you why I'm going with Marcus Smart as my thing for today. This is exactly the stat line you want to see from Marcus Smart every single game. And it was worrisome because in the first quarter, he went out and shot 5 times. Tristan Thompson had 4. I was like, why did these 2 guys have 9 of our 20 field goal attempts to start the game? But then he just started to distribute. He was active on defense.
His defense was awesome.
The steals, all of it. Like this was literally bottle this and just serve it up every single game is exactly the Marcus Smart game. Field goal attempts down, 5 of 8. Couple of threes when they were open. Distributed all night. Defense.
Yeah.
And again, it's a 3-quarter stat line. It would have been probably a little bit more if he played a full game. So it's hard to say. That could have been 12 field goals or whatever. But that's what you want to see all the time. You want to see Marcus floating between 8, 9, 10 field goal attempts per game and distributing the ball, and that's what he did tonight.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. But to go back to what Jimmy was saying about Kemba Walker, though, the way he set the tone in this one, I thought made all the difference. And it wasn't necessarily about him scoring. It was, again, the eye test. I thought he passed with flying colors when he first came back. Now he's attacking, finding guys down low, but guys are slashing. They're getting to the paint. They're cutting. High percentage shots. Of course, the defense is what was the story in this one for the Celtics, because defensively, that's the kind of defense we wish we could see every single night. If you ask me, guys, I think Brad Stevens gave these guys a good old spanking over the weekend.
That's who I'm going with.
Like, that's exactly what Brad is supposed to do.
I'm going with Brad.
Supposed to do after losing 3 games in a row, especially the way they lost it. If you're a good team, you come back and you come back strong. And it doesn't matter if you're playing the Cavaliers or if you're playing the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the kind of energy you're supposed to see from your team. And Kemba Walker, I thought, just like set the tone in the beginning, but then when he was off the floor, Jeff Teague was doing it a little bit. But again, guys like Shimmy Ojale, Carson Edwards getting to the free throw line, absorbing contact.
We're not going to do Carson Edwards tonight.
I mean,
Joe's going to get excited.
right?
I'm not going to allow it.
Yeah.
One example,
Joe
Robert
X-Factor.
Williams. I'll do another one then.
X-Factor.
Robert Williams. You know, like that above the top effort on defense translates to high percent, looks on offense. And I thought Kemba Walker had a lot to do with it.
I thought that was the story of tonight. You can talk about the Cavs having a great defense and Boston overpowering it, but I thought defense to offense was how they did that. That's what generated a ton of the offense tonight, especially those Brown transition runs. But I'm going with Brad. Brad just gets so much crap. Every single night they lose, it's fire Brad. He's not tough enough.
Okay.
He's got to get red in the face. Yeah, I'm going with Brad. The exceptional job that he's done navigating the injuries, the uncertainty to start this year. And the last week or so, he's been direct. he's been pointed in the criticism of the team. He's not going Bobby Knight here, but he's getting a message across to these guys that they received tonight and came out with a big comeback.
He was kind of doing Bobby Knight. Like the Celtics had a 20-point lead in the third quarter, and he's on his feet screaming these guys, saying,
he's getting tough. We talked about this in the playoffs. Maybe just a little bit tougher. When the team's breaking down, blowing leads, not playing defense the way they're capable of, dig into them a little bit, become a little more pointed in your criticism. I thought he called out Teague and Tristan in a big way to start the night tonight. He's obviously been calling out the team's performance as a whole. He doesn't think they're very good. He thinks that they've slacked on defense, all this different stuff. He's not going to be throwing chairs and screaming and calling guys out and ripping everybody every single night. But with his calm demeanor, if he does it his way on certain nights, you see a night like tonight, it gets received. Like, this was a team responding to their coach tonight.
I'll give Brad my Tommy Award tonight simply for finally recognizing that Grant Williams shouldn't play anymore.
Well, him too.
That's good enough for me.
I mean, he threw a little shade at him too.
Even in the 30-point blowout. Even in the 30-point blowout.
It's finally burying Grant into deep bench minutes. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so sick of the Brad overreaction every night. You see how many commenters we have that are like, Brad's not the one who's going to deliver the championship here.
That's not a Brad thing. Yeah. That's just the history of sports. The coach is always the first one to go, right? Mm-hmm. Fans are going to turn on the coach way before they turn on their favorite players, right? That's just how it goes. So, we hear it over here because we're following the Celtics and we're in Boston. But you go to any city short of
San
Antonio. What was that? Any team short of San Antonio, you're probably going to hear that. But yeah, you're right. It was good to get a little bit of Mad Brad, and we didn't really talk about it much last show. But remember, I led off the show, and unbeknownst to me, the show had started, and I was reading a quote of Brad saying how he was pretty disappointed in the way they showed up in some big situations in the fourth quarter there Friday night. So I'm sure he didn't
get out of here.
I'm sure he didn't just say.
I think they mean Tuukka Rask, not Turk's rank, but I agree. The Tuukka Rask comparison is a very good one for Brad. Just unrational hatred every single time they lose.
The meltdown on Friday was over the top with the
take two. Base. Tux Rask. No, still try it again, Pierce.
That's what I mean. Like that. That's
the Tuukka stuff. Listen.
That's always in the back pocket.
Nope, still not right.
Tuukka Rask is a great goalie, but the Tuukka Rask's biggest issue is that he showed up after Tim Thomas, who was an absolute gamer and put the entire team on his back in that Stanley Cup run. Thank you. There you go. And Tuukka Rask.
2 U's, but that's okay.
Kind of the opposite.
Almost.
2 U's. Yeah, he still messed up. Tuukka Rask, the opposite, didn't even show up. I have nothing else to say about Tuukka Rask, but he's kind of the opposite of showing up literally last season, and he hasn't shown up in a lot of big games. Now, I'm not trying to say get rid of Tuukka Rask because they don't have anyone else that can play the position better than him. But you're right, it's a similar comparison, the irrational hate, but it's still comparing a coach to a player, so it's not apples to apples by any means.
These are the comments on Friday on Brad's presser. Brad's the main problem of the team. Brad pisses me off so much at times. Show some urgency or passion or something. X's and O's will only get you so far. Like, this is the sentiment against him. And we're talking 8 years of success now, getting better year in and year out.
Critiques?
Right.
To play devil's advocate, Bobby.
Kind of, but not really.
So what we've talked about, Bobby, isn't the chair throwing, Brad. It's the guys, we're going to do it this way, Brad. I think the knock he gets is for being the guy who's, it's the good and the bad, the yin and the yang here. He's a trusting coach who wants you to go out there and make mistakes because you've said it, Bobby, a million times. He doesn't want to crush people's confidence by saying, I don't have you out there to shoot. But ultimately, when you see these late game meltdowns, shot selections late in the game, Jaylen Brown no longer getting the ball, Marcus Smart taking his shots late, whatever it is, those things that fans see and they're like, why is this happening? You don't know who to point to other than the coach. And that's why he gets it, which is, Brad, are you telling these guys, like, when they go out there, you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that, or do they just get to do whatever the hell they want? And that's that's what drives people nuts. They don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So you would like to see a little bit more semblance of control, which is him saying the quick timeout, like, that's not what we're doing. We're doing it this way. It's not the chair throwing. It's just a little bit more order and things kind of falling the way that you think that they're supposed to.
I think that's fair. And he's responded to that to some degree this year.
So that's the
doesn't help with that,
he can't coach. It's that he's too trusting, and that's part of his philosophy is you're only going to grow as a player. It's a positive thing. You're only going to, but it works with a certain type of team and doesn't work all the times. You're only going to grow as a player if I let you just go out there and play and make mistakes and not be worried that you're going to get yanked every single time you take what I might consider to be a bad shot. He doesn't do that. And that might help the development of his players, but it also will drive you nuts when they're blowing 20-point leads late in the game and the wrong guys are taking the shots.
Yeah, I think what makes it worse is for Celtics fans is when it happens in the third quarter. Like, what's going on at halftime that you come out with this completely different look or different energy that you had in the first half, which I think is the case the last couple of games, or at least before tonight. And I think that's sort of been in the back pocket for a lot of Celtics fans, that Brad Stevens card to say, hey, Brad needs to do a little bit more, or why isn't he, being tougher on these guys? But I think, again, I think something happened the last couple of days. I think what we saw, that energy on both ends of the floor, especially on defense, I don't think that's a matter of these Celtics players just waking up and saying, you know what, guys, I got it now. I know what we're doing wrong. This is Brad Stevens. You got to give props. You got to tip your cap. And again, I truly believe whether this is the Cavaliers or any other team, you would see that same exact energy. Now, tomorrow night's going to be interesting. Kemba Walker obviously is a big, the second night of a back-to-back. Not sure if he's going to play. We're going to have to see what this team does without him because, again, I just think he set the tone on offense. But from a defensive standpoint, the team altogether collectively was a huge difference in this one.
I'm not going to pretend to know what goes on in the Celtics locker room or off the court or in practice or anything, but just one thing we talked about last year in the playoffs is when the Celtics had a little bit of it looked like they were infighting a little bit. Remember how they had the team meeting and everything like that, and we're like, whoa, like what's going on in that locker room? And then you go back the year before, and obviously there was a rift between some of the players, Kyrie, Brown, whoever it was, whoever it might be. So we kind of said, was it, Brad is by all accounts like a super nice guy, very, very smart basketball mind, but does he command the locker room? Do our players not scared of him, but are they falling in line, so to speak, when the coach walks in the doors, or are they kind of, they'll listen to him and they respect his basketball opinion, but does he have that sort of coach/leadership? And maybe that's something that maybe that's something that he's changed a little bit with his coaching, or the way he approaches coaching this year. Maybe the players are respecting that side of him a little bit more, and maybe that's something that after Friday night, maybe he put his foot down, right, or something like that, and said, listen, like, this isn't gonna fly,
Well, this goes back to Smart.
Yeah, but Jimmy, I agree real quick there, Jimmy. That's the tough part. It's really hard for anyone to criticize because we're not in the locker room. You're not in there,
and I'm not
knowing
I'm literally throwing
is he doing it and they're not listening. Right. Yeah, but you're not. What you don't know is, did he tell all of these guys, hey, Marcus, take it easy late in the game here and try not to jack so many shots. Really look for Jaylen if you can. Make sure the offense runs through him and Smart ignores it, or he's not doing it. We don't really know.
But if he's ignoring it, is that Brad's fault that he's ignoring it?
But we don't know. That's the problem. It's impossible to criticize.
I know.
Right.
It's really hard.
I'm not criticizing him. I'm just trying to figure out what.
That's why I'm always reluctant to, because you don't know behind the scenes what exactly is happening.
Absolutely.
If it's a change in philosophy, as we kind of think it, as Bobby, thinks, like maybe Brad did kind of think, I do have to,
I know what he did to start the year that spoke volumes to me was set out the roles after that preseason loss to Philly.
Yeah.
The big practice, they hammered home that we're all not trying to push extra hard to replace Kemba in this first month. We're not going to try to do what he does. We're just going to do our roles to the best of our ability. And that spoke out to no one other than Smart. And I saw the way Smart played in that first month, more restrained, more off the ball, shooting when he's open, less drives. And I still think if you look at his total package to go back to your points about him to open the show, he's done a great job limiting the shots, taking good attempts, being a little more efficient in the looks that he gets. distributing the ball at a higher rate and getting to the free throw line at a higher rate. He's still going to have nights where he exceeds what you would ideally want to see from him. But that goes back to my point a couple of shows ago about you want him to have the confidence, the freedom to exceed on nights where no one else is getting going. I believe it was the first Philly game that he went off and gave them a chance in. So you still want to have him sense when he needs to take that extra step to be more aggressive, and then have nights like tonight where he takes 8 shots and is way more restrained.